start an awesome experience. It's the focusing on the empowering month of July, the month of freedom. And what we'll be focusing on is our ability to decide for ourselves how we're going to experience the human drama. That's what it's all about. Our founding fathers already, they've done their job. They've created the idea of the principles and the outer framework that provided what I call the societal freedoms that are cemented in. Oh, this is freedom as well. I didn't turn on the noise. Now you can see me. That's not good.
Pay no attention to the lady.
Anyway, our founding fathers did their part. They established the principles and the framework that cemented in law what we call our societal freedoms that can never be removed or taken away from us. But that's only half the loaf. And when we start looking at freedom, and I've read articles where people say, you know, we live in a world of plenty, and yet people are walking around starving to death. And I think those are spiritual ideas, because that other part of the loaf has to do with what we call internal freedom, or spiritual freedom. And it's really kind of ironic that we can live in a place where we're free to assemble, we're free to worship, and yet we're in a prison of emotions and with concepts. We're prisoners of that. And so this month we're going to be looking at the idea that we're going to be as free as we determine to be. And what does that mean? It means that there are certain things that we need to think about and do. We have to discover for ourselves those tremendous spiritual powers that we have that will ensure that we're not under the domain of our conditions and circumstances. And those of us here at the PLC and those of us who counsel folks realize that this is a major idea. It's a major problem too, because so many people walk around in prison in a world of freedom because they're under the domain of the circumstances and conditions. So are they experiencing freedom? The other thing is we need to learn how to and practice forgiveness and release, so that we're free to exist in the present moment, to enjoy this now, the present moment. We need to also learn how to live as empowered spiritual beings in a very limited temporal body and environment. That's a tremendous opportunity for us. But as spiritual beings, we need to know, that's one of our duties. How do we function as powerful spiritual beings in a finite temporal body? And the other thing that I put down here, which I think is important, we need to learn how to be ourselves without restriction, without obstruction. And we've learned during this month, we're going to come to the realization that there's only one person that can obstruct our degree of freedom. And who's that one person? Anybody know? It's ourselves. Good. You passed the test, you can go. These past 236 years, we have witnessed through documented history a civil war that brought to us these declarations of independence. But we've also experienced 2 world wars, we've experienced some police actions, and we've experienced several other wars where thousands of people have given the ultimate sacrifice, and where actually millions of people were caught in the crossfire, innocent people caught in the crossfires, so that we can maintain this idea of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is pretty awesome, isn't it? So we celebrate that this month. And so another thing we think is we look at our own independence. How many of us are really experiencing personal freedom? We need to look at that. Because if am I exercising my personal independent freedom if I allow the opinions of someone else to determine how I'm going to act, or what am I going to experience, or how am I going to experience this life? Am I willingly giving up my freedom when we allow someone else to determine how I feel? We need to talk about that and look at that. Am I willingly giving up my freedom when I allow this conditioned mind that we have that focuses on dread and the past and the future and tells us, I'm not good enough. Or you're really not sharp enough to do what this is meant to do. If I allow my conditioned mind to dictate that, am I willingly giving up my freedom? Am I allowing the conditioned mind to take over? So to me, freedom is being. That's what freedom is all about. It's being who we are. And being open and receptive to what the universe has to offer me in this present moment. One day I got a call from someone who was interested in taking ministerial classes. And his name was George. And George says, would you please call me, return my call. So I called it, and the voice came on. Hello, this is George. I'm sorry I'm not here at the moment, but if you'll leave your name and address, name and telephone number, I'll return to you when I return. Oh, that sounds cool. So I said, hello, George. This is Angie Pizelo here at Emerson. And before I could even get the word returning out, who comes online? George. How many of you had that happen to you? And then he tells me something that he should not have done because I am judgmental at times. He said, I'm really here, but I have that message because there are people who call me that I don't want to talk to. Wow! And what God went through my mind, well, he's going to be an awesome minister if he becomes one. He's going to be so good at this. But what I wanted to tell him was, and I didn't, and I thought of it afterwards, and I said, if he takes some classes, I'll have plenty of opportunity. I wanted to say, get rid of that damn message. You know? Get rid of the message. Answer the phone. And if somebody calls you and says that you don't want to talk to, just tell the person, I do not care to speak with you at this time. Just do it. How many of us can do that? So when we tweak we call it the white lines. We tweak the white lines, what are we really doing? We're giving up our personal freedom. Our freedom to be all that we can be and to experience this moment unobstructed in the nature of the divine. That's what we're doing. And so when we tweak it a little bit and say, well, you know, I really am busy right now and I can't know. But anyway, many of us fall into that trap, and I'm not going to be too judgmental on you, because I'm part of it. I had an opportunity not too long ago, actually several years ago, to discuss with a good friend of mine who's a psychologist about what I call societal freedom and human consciousness. I just love to talk to this guy. He lives in Fresno, and just to have this debate over the phone. It's a stretch, but it was kind of cool. And we talked for a while, and for 15 or 20 minutes, and then he said this. He said, Angelo, I want to do some thoughts on this, and I'll email you some other ideas. And I said, that's pretty cool. That'd be great. So a few days later, because we're going to spend a little bit of time on this societal freedom, but a lot of it on this spiritual freedom. So I get this email from him. And he said this, I want to kind of read it for you. Dear Angelo, here are a few thoughts that I came up with, and I had to consider your age when we're talking about societal freedom. Because it's really important. And I thought, wow, when I read that, I know I'm in trouble right now. Societal freedom and human conscience for people your age means the following. This really happened to me. Kidnappers are not very interested in you. In a hostage situation, you're more likely to be released first. No one expects you to run into a burning building to save someone. Pretty bad, isn't it? This is a friend of mine. People call at 8 p.m. and ask, did I wake you up? There is nothing to learn the hard way. You get into a heated discussion about pension plans. You have a party and neighbors don't even realize it. I'm kind of sure. Your secrets are safe with your friends because they can't